Hi everyone, Neil here, and I have Kat, who is the founder of Nude Nutrition, and on a mission to free people from food obsessions, break free from diet culture, and find a happy and peaceful relationship with food. We've been working together for about 2 or 3 months now, Kat, and it's been amazing to see your journey. I'm really looking forward to getting into the details here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So,
And thank you for all your help so far.
no worries. So let's start here. Could you just introduce yourself around your story, how you got started, and who you help?
My story of my kind of brand, or my story of
The story that got you to where you are now around
doing what I do.
with nutrition.
Yeah, okay. So I have always had an interest in nutrition. I was quite a chubby kid growing up. I was probably 12, 13. Yeah, chubby, and it was never deemed to be something that was acceptable. So I, at that point, when I was 12, 13, started trying to, unbeknown to me, reduce my weight and watch my eating and try and change the way I ate basically to fix my body into a size that seemed more acceptable, which led me on to having a constant battle with food and what I now know was related to trying to control my weight. And that became so much of my life that it did lead me on later to become a dietitian, and worked in the NHS for a few years. And I did my master's in clinical research, and I then had the opportunity to work in a private weight loss clinic, and obviously kind of got involved in that myself, thinking, oh, this is great. And that just exacerbated all the problems that I'd had with food for the last number of years before that, which was being stuck in this cycle of feeling I was being good with food and in control, and watching, like, losing weight, and then just feeling totally out of control and just constantly being on this pendulum. And I was even experiencing that as a qualified dietitian, so there was a lot of shame attached to being in that cycle, and living in the fear of, if I don't restrict and I don't keep doing what I'm doing, I'm just gonna gain loads of weight and lose control, and I'm just going to keep eating and eating and eating. So I was in that negative cycle for a long time, really, and it affected my relationships and the sport that I was doing. And now I look back, actually it was pretty much had an eating disorder for a number of years, sort of dipping in and out of it. And it wasn't until I went to a seminar when I was in London working at the clinic, the weight loss clinic at the Royal Society of Medicine, and they talked about disordered eating and eating disorders, and I knew about them, I'd learned about them, but it was just highlighted to me that I'd had these issues for a number of years and I was still stuck in them, and they were having a real negative effect on me. So at that point I was like, pick up the phone, ring, like, I just needed to get some support, because it was clearly, it wasn't my more knowledge about nutrition that I needed, it was something different. And nobody really had the skills to be able to, that I could find, in the different sort of areas of psychology that I looked for support, had the expertise to help me with what I needed, which was really a pathway out with the tools to be able to support me to get out of what I was experiencing. And that's when I found the work that I do now, which is intuitive eating, an area of nutrition that's very much non-diet driven. And it taught me that there was nothing wrong with me and what my body, but all of the issues I was experiencing were a side effects of trying to pursue weight loss. And I noticed this not just in myself, but in lots of other people I worked with in this weight loss clinic. And it was the 100th time that they'd done a diet and they'd paid all this money to come and see me, and it was like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to commit, this is the last time. And we'd still have people coming back in and having gained that weight. So I was seeing it in myself, but also in other people, and something just wasn't clicking with me. And learned about this sort of area of non-diet nutrition, and decided that I needed to help other people find this route out. And that's when I started my business 3 years ago now. I kind of found this non-diet area about 4 years ago, and it took me some time to kind of retrain and relearn and get to a point where I could deliver the work that I now do. So my purpose is to help other people find this food peace and food freedom and more acceptance with their body as well. And I think that's what's got me here today.
Brilliant. And how do you work with people? Could you just give us an overview of how that works?
I work with people on a one-to-one basis through video call, through Zoom, and usually for a minimum of 3 months. And we have usually 2 initial longer 75-minute sessions where I get to know that person's relationship with food and their body, and then we have 45-minute follow-ups where I help them to build up the tools to get out of their head, get more connected with their body, through different activities that we do. It's, I'm not a therapist, but it's almost like nutrition counselling. So we then work together for a minimum of 3 months usually, because I recognise it's about that amount of time to get going with this stuff. So it's all at the moment one-to-one, but I'm just starting to build some courses, and maybe think about doing group coaching, because actually what I offer is people are experiencing the same the same themes, people are experiencing the same sorts of problems. So I'm at the point where I'm looking to branch out.
Awesome. So before we started working together, what was your kind of strategy behind the business around getting people to find you, work with you, grow your email list even? What was it for you?
So it took me ages to figure it all out. And I think I had a really good start. I did it was sort of a business startup accelerator course that accelerated my first 3-6 months or year really. And then I had a year of sort of swimming around. And then I had a mentor that was really supportive. And I think the main strategy that helped me prior to working with you was figuring out in buckets where my current customers were coming from. I'd done enough to kind of, I think, thrown everything at the walls and just seeing what stuck. And I had 4 buckets, which were Google, partnerships, running my own sort of events, and social media. And Google was always the biggest one. And I think before I came to meet you, I was aware that Google was working for me. I had a few people along the way to help with a bit of SEO strategy, but very much led by myself. And I was feeling more and more, I think before I came to you, I was feeling more and more lost, because I was getting a lot of customers from Google, but I wasn't really pouring my time and energy into that as much as I needed to, because I was almost getting sidetracked with social media and just everything that you can get sidetracked in the business. And I think because I didn't have a clear strategy for Google, which I now know is so important for my business. And so I feel more content that I've got a bit of a strategy behind that, and I'm actually pouring my time and energy into that. So I think I was just swimming around a little bit. Like, I knew I needed to do work on it, but I didn't really know what.
Got it. And let's just get sidetracked for a second here. When you talk about social media, I've seen you, we follow each other on Instagram. What you've done on Instagram has been incredible. For those that, haven't checked out Kat's Instagram channel, she's got over 10,000 followers. You create really good content. I know it's time consuming. It's something I hear a lot of the times, week in, week out. What's worked for you on Instagram, over the last year or so? And then we'll kind of switch the conversation back.
Instagram, I think it's a forever change. Like, it's a forever changing battle, because they're always changing it. What's worked with me before? I think I set up the account actually a good few years ago before it was Nude Nutrition. So I had it was another name. I can't remember what it was. And I had already built it up to 1,000 or 2,000 followers, maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So I just jumped on that.
Yeah.
And I think what helped me build it was it was earlier on. And I think things were potentially more easy then. I think I had a good strategy at the start through doing that business accelerator course. We spent a lot of time on social media and how to kind of build that and grow that. So connecting with people, I remember like following loads of people and unfollowing them, which was not really a healthy thing to do for Instagram. Just like pouring my time into that as if it was the only thing in my business, which I now look at and actually, yeah, isn't.
It's the engagement part of the business, isn't it? People might look at it to see, hey,
Yeah.
that real deal here. But although I have got customers from Instagram, it's not a big, I don't use it for that, is essentially what you're saying as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and I do get customers from it. I do get clients from it. I think they find me on Google, then they'll follow me on Instagram. And I think it does help for sure. And I think I did a big push when I was at sort of 6,000, 7,000. I was like, right, I can get to 10, I can get to 10. And that was just through, I did like lives with different people. I did like last Christmas, I think I did like a 21-day Christmas calendar where I got 21 different people, 25 different people each day of the month to like add content to my page. So it was just like exposure. And I just put a lot of time into doing things with other people to build up my exposure. Yeah, or it might be getting a comment or a tag from someone else. And then it kind of just, I think it just like snowballs a little bit from there. Like I'll get people now sharing my content, and before I'd be like, oh my god, and I'd like reshare it, but now I just get that all the time, and it's just I think it just snowballs a little bit.
Yeah, it's great. And one thing that I noticed when we just at the beginning of working together and in our initial chat before we kind of started this journey of being a partnership and working together, is because of all the years and the experience that you've developed, whether it's working for someone and dealing with your own problems, which is a common entrepreneurial story, is solving your own problem. What I noticed was you had a really authoritative presence online. You've written for a number of places, you've been featured in a number of places, you create good content. We kind of call it establishing a press-ready website. And Google loves experts. Google loves authorities that are, they own a space. And it also loves brands that are trustworthy. And those three things your site demonstrates. So when we first, I don't know if I ever told you this, but whenever I looked at your site just in advance of us speaking, I saw all of those three things. And that was that, you've almost been getting that Google presence automatically because you've demonstrated those things, because you're treating your business as as you are the expert, and you've kind of grown it organically by nurturing your business and treating your business as a brand. So that I think what you've done on those aspects has been great.
And I think I remember after about a year or so, I remember finding myself at the number one for like online nutritionists, and I panicked because I didn't know why. I was like, that's great, but what have I done? I don't understand what I've done.
Yeah.
And so I did ring through a connection, someone that works, I can't remember, but she works at one of the big newspaper brands and does their sort of SEO, and she just had a look and said, look, these are the words you need to keep. And you need to just keep writing articles. So I got an intern on board to just write loads of articles. And I think that's what kind of built it up. And then it was getting the backlinks from different pages. And so I think that really helped. But I then lost my way because I wasn't then creating my own content, and I was like, I'm losing touch with my tone and my voice, and that's what I didn't feel comfortable with. And I stopped paying for an intern, and I stopped having someone else write my content, but then I wasn't doing anything.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, it doesn't matter, it's fine. And then I just saw my Google presence wasn't building, and
Yep.
I think that was the point where I was like, I just don't know what I need, but I need something.
Yep.
And then sort of found you, and you've just revamped what I needed.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And just on that, actually, for those watching this, because that's a common challenge, is, hey, I don't have the time to create my content, so I'm going to outsource it. But then at the same time, my content doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't have my tone of voice. It doesn't even talk about stuff the way I would talk about it. And there's a couple of strategies that you can use, which I can quickly give a really good overview, or a quick overview. Is, personally, when it comes to my blog and my YouTube, I personally prefer to create the content. I just prefer to do that. But what I've chosen to do is go, less is more. So rather than putting myself, chaining myself to some sort of content calendar to publish every week, although right now I've just changed it to weekly. Prior to this, I was every month.
Yeah.
And so I've spaced it out, and then, I can keep up with that schedule. And then what I would do is have someone review and edit the content.
Yeah.
To then take it up a level or make it flow differently. Recently, I've just chosen to go every week, but I've gone with video, but I'm batching it now. So I still control it, but I batch it so that I can still publish every week. But it doesn't feel like I'm chained up, because I can now kind of do this large push. Another strategy, which I've also used, is to create a quick draft. And I actually do this for other websites or content that I need, is create a really quick draft of content, and then I'll have someone just make it flow, write it up, but it still sounds like me because I've done the quick draft.
Yeah.
Or what you could do is you could do an audio drop over WhatsApp or whatever tool you have. And let's say you want to create a piece of content around 5 tips to lose weight. You do an audio drop over WhatsApp, as an example, of all the things that you need to consider and think about, and then you have a writer to create that content. So there's, another idea is you interview that writer. Actually, so this week we've written a press release, which is a personal brand press release for me. And Elle in the team, she interviewed me for an hour, which actually felt a bit like therapy for some reason. But, she interviewed me on, I think it was Monday, and she's written up the press release a week later,
Yeah.
And this was last week. So you could ask your writer to interview you, but it's such a common challenge when you let someone get involved with your content, and then suddenly, it's just a quantity play. And I'm not a big fan of that. And what you need to do is I always feel like if you want some help with content, the more you're involved, the better it's going to be. So just going, hey, create the piece of content, it's never going to have the impact that you would expect. And this is something we hear from people we work with all the time.
Yeah. I think it's a constant battle, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I had someone that I decided she does a lot of my newsletters and things, a girl that approached me. She lives in the Philippines, and she's been brilliant. And I said, right, well, if I basically brain dump my content or what I want to write about, I'll give her the SEO that I need to sprinkle in there, and you then tidy it all up. But she's actually then just decided this week that she doesn't want to work anymore with me, or she wants to go down a different avenue and wants to stop, which has just left me in the lurch, really. So I'm a little bit stuck in that I'm back to square one, and I've been thinking, do I keep writing articles on my website, or do I do what you're doing and just batch up a load of videos? But I feel like YouTube and building a following on there, and I feel like it's a whole different
new
ball game.
It's a whole different channel. But what I'm doing, and this is interesting, because this is one of the things I'm looking at. at defining and optimizing is
Got
I.
mine in the middle of my face.
So,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do a video just on distribution, content distribution very soon. I've actually started scripting it yesterday, so this is very timely. But
Yeah.
so I'm doing YouTube videos, which are then rewritten, well, not rewritten, but written as a blog post. But the way I control the tone of voice the way I control the content is through the video. So now I can have someone in our team to write that up as a blog post.
Like transcript it or?
No, actually just write it up as a
Yeah.
as a native blog post. You can see an example on yourbrandfound.com/blog. There's one on website SEO, website design SEO. That's a really good example. There's one on SEO Compass. So do take a look at that. But I agree with you. If you start going to a different channel, it's a whole different strategy. What's working for you, and actually a lot of the clients that we work across, is content that's written on their site. So if you're looking for support, you know what, you could actually take on a freelancer who you then apply some of the strategies that I was just sharing around you doing the first draft or doing an audio drop and letting them rewrite it. Or you could reduce the amount of content you're creating and just batch a number of pieces following some of the training that we've gone through, and then publishing those pieces. There's so many ways to get creative around this. And longer term, we're launching a content only service where we're not doing the agency, so that might also be a good fit. Or you could have a freelancer if you're not looking for a editorial team. Just coming back to some of the and just so it's kind of clear to everyone is, we have two parts of how we work with clients. We either do it for them through the agency, or we have a training program. And Kat was one of the first to come into our training program, and it's been great. And we've got the weekly group coaching as well as the training. Where we first started, Kat, and where we first start with a number of the students is optimizing their core funnel, is what we call it. But in simple layman's terms, it's optimizing the flow from a visitor to an inquiry, or a visitor to an email subscriber. Where we prioritized some of our efforts and thinking for you was optimizing the core funnel for visitor to inquiry. And within a week or two of just optimizing that flow, you went from busy to fully booked, right, within a month or so. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think because we had that first strategy call, and we used it to go through that funnel. And I was had loads of people like landing on my website. I had a good people coming to my site, but then I felt like I was losing customers. And you were like, I think you highlighted to me, you were like, you should be getting more than that. And I was like, I feel like there's something going wrong here. So not only did you help me up my prices, but I think I had too many processes for people to go to get to get to a phone call with me. And I knew that when I get clients to a phone call with me, my conversion rate is way higher than just an email. And what I was doing before was sending them to my website, giving them an option to fill out a form, have a call, and then I was responding to them on email with like a brain dump of my services and the price, which just wasn't working. Like, it was sending customers away. Like, they were interested, inquiring, but then I think I was just sending them away by giving them too much information too quickly, and it wasn't personalized. So I think you helped me just look at the bigger picture of it and be more broad, so I could ultimately get customers on the phone, and take out the systems in the middle. And it has definitely increased the number of inquiry calls that I have, which ultimately increases conversions. And I'm now fully booked for the first time I'm fully booked until the end of October. And previously I was just trying to fill my calendar week to week, and I was able to see customers even within a couple of days or within a week. And now I'm like, I can't speak to you, it's the end of September, I can't speak to you till the start of November. And so I think it actually, and it's that builds up your brand as well, because people are like, oh, she's well, people want her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that enables you to push the pricing up a little bit more and make it more exclusive. And so I'm just toying around at the top of the price range at the moment, and I'm getting to the point where some people are sort of saying no, which is a good sign. I've learned, because it means that you're teetering on the edge of prices.
Yeah, I remember that conversation actually. I said, I think our conversation before you even got started was, we need to get you to the point where you're spoiled for choice, which
Yeah.
will give you the confidence to increase your prices.
Yeah.
And by your conversions. So this is one thing. If you've got really high conversions, people think, oh, great. You know, every customer I'm speaking to, or every 2 customers, I'm landing a client. I must be doing something good. But actually what that suggests is your prices are too high. And that was
Too low. Do you mean too low?
too low.
Yeah.
And what that is a good indicator of is there's something not right here with, you know, the prices,
Yeah.
and the nature of the sales conversation, or even the online conversation to a sales conversation. So that was incredible to see. And I remember you posted it in the group, and I was like, wow, I had a feeling this was going to happen. I just never knew it was going to happen that soon. And I guess to transition, what I've seen you do really well is using the training to spark conversations with journalists and authority websites. And for those that, you know, don't know, growing your authority is a really good way, and getting featured is a really good way to get yourself outside of your own website, and also to build trust with Google. So you'll get that initial spark of traffic from being featured, as well as longer term, you start getting noticed from Google, and you've applied it really well. So just can you talk us through like some of the conversations you're having with journalists? And
I think it's helped me to realize that there's a lot of opportunities on our doorstep. And I think there were a lot of opportunities previously that I just wasn't seeing. And now I'm seeing an opportunity, whether it be on Twitter or on a journalist kind of website. I think previously I was doing a bit for I'm a spokesperson for my professional body, and I was getting journalist stuff through that, but actually it wasn't backlinking to my website. It was backlinking to my trade union body website. So I'm like, shut that out and actually focus my energy on things that are going to bring me business. And so, yeah, I think the more, when you know what you're looking for, the opportunities are there. And I'm also, because I'm able to use tools to look at competitors and see what they're ranking for, what sites are linking to them. I've now got a list of people that I want to contact and the templates to do that, to reach out to different brands and journalists to sort of join up and get a backlink in some form.
Yeah.
And know how to respond to journalist requests through different websites and tools that I've been using. And I got a great one this week. I think probably every 1 or 2 weeks I'm getting a backlink in some way, and I'm able to look at whether that the link that I'm getting is from a high authority website or not, through the tools that I've been using, and using that to decide whether it's worth writing a bit for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for those that aren't aware of what a backlink is essentially just a website referring to your website and linking to you, and that's a signal to Google that, hey, I trust this site, so I'm going to mention them. And if Google sees a site that it already trust you, then that's a good signal. Just like friends and business, when someone refers you, it's a similar concept. And so Google starts to notice you even more. But you're driving the feature, you're getting featured, you're getting mentioned, which is something you should be doing anyway to start growing your brand, start growing your authority, start growing your expertise. But now in the background, we're using that to start growing even more traffic to your site. And that's what, Kat, you mentioned. And actually, I didn't know your numbers that around, securing 1 or 2 every week, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And you can see sometimes it's not as hard as it needs to be, but it still drives results. And
And it might not be something that I'm like proud of. Like I might not link. I mean, I'm not saying I'm writing rubbish content or anything, but for example, I've been asked this week I did a piece of writing for like MyFitnessPal, which wouldn't be a website that I would ever direct my customers to, because it's the very thing I'm helping people trying to run away from. But I know that my customers might be sitting in that space, or potential customers, and I know they've got a higher authority to link back to me. So I'm not like sharing on my Instagram, oh, I featured on this page.
Yep.
I don't need to, because I got the backlink that I wanted. I think it's just having more intention behind the opportunities that come at you, being aware of the potential and prioritizing that. So I kind of saw that as an opportunity, dropped what I had planned,
Yep.
and I thought, well, that's really important for me, so I'm going to do that and prioritize it, or stay up late and just get it done.
Yep. That's so cool. And it's almost like the power of it, but then you also know how it fits within your brand. So you're going, that audience that go to MyFitnessPal, they're right for me. They're the perfect audience for me. However, the brand messaging and the way MyFitnessPal solves losing weight, I don't believe in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage their authority. I'm going to try and get in front of their audience and get featured by them, which is everything you should be doing anyway. However, because I don't really fit that kind of profile of brand, I'm not going to share it. And actually what you've described there is exactly what I do as well. There's certain ones I'll share because I feel authentic to it and it feels right for me. And then there's others that, we're going to use it for what it is, and that's it. So we're not going to spend that much time on it, but we're going to share content. We're still going to be ourselves. We're still going to share the content that we want to, but we're going to kind of draw a line somewhere.
Yeah.
And, talking about content, we just, I guess, talked about how you've been using freelancers, you've been creating content, you even tried hiring a Philippines person. And before working with us, you kind of you've pushed it, right? It's been a thing that has been on your mind, but you're busy doing calls, you're busy doing coaching. You've never really taken the time to get into the strategy or even taken the interest. So after kind of working together and starting with the training program, how has that changed for you? How's it changed in terms of your mindset about how you think about it? You've kind of talked about it already, but can you take us through
I think I was doing stuff, but I had a big hole of 6 months probably where I wasn't, and I lost my way, I lost my purpose, I was swimming around. And I think it's just given me a strategy, it's given me more of a strategy and a plan going forward. It's highlighted what's important, what's not important. And yes, I'm really busy. And someone said to me recently, if you're working in your business, you're not working on your business. So I think it's the first few weeks, I felt like I wasn't giving it enough. And I've really made sure that I've allowed time in my diary and prioritized content and writing and Google basically. So I've made space to do that. I've got more of a strategy behind it. And I'm also not trying to be perfect with it. I'm like, it's okay to just, instead of write a new article, just optimize one of my articles today. It's better than trying to write a whole new thing. Like sometimes I think I was getting stuck in not doing everything perfectly, and I've just accepted that it's never perfect, but at least I'm consistently doing something. And it will just, I think it just will it's given me a solid foundation to now just keep going forward with.
It's almost like what we've seen with you for the last few weeks is you've started to get into a bit of a groove.
Yeah.
So now you're working on the press, you're working on the journalist stuff and trying to grow your authority, and you're also creating really good content. And, you know, I've personally, we were actually talking about you this morning, but we've seen your content, and you published a piece around diet, obviously, just over a month ago. And within 2 weeks, that piece started to rank in Google
Mm.
and started to, now it's not highly enough, but the fact that it started to rank now gives us a place to
Yeah.
grow and start to kick on from. Like now driving mentions of that article and links to that article may help boost it, or iterating, you know, those are all things you can do later on.
Yeah.
And originally you need to start to rank and start getting articles out there, start creating content as well as doing the process. And now you know what I've seen of you is you're getting into this groove where now you know what to do. You're almost, I think you said it in the other day in the group, was I'm getting a hang of this. You know,
Yeah.
I'm starting to get used to this tool. I'm starting to get used to this, the way of working, the way of thinking. And some of this is very much mindset. And it takes a few weeks to break old habits, or takes a few weeks just to get your head around something. But
Yeah.
once you're in it, you're like, you almost don't need to think about it, if that now makes sense. I feel like I can now tell you that, and you're going to get that. Whereas if I told you that in the beginning, you might have not got that. But do you feel like that, where it's not
Yeah.
front in mind, it's just almost back here? But
Yeah, definitely. I think it is more back there, and I think I've made the time to consistently put it into my weekly calendar, and I've also made it the central hub, rather than thinking, right, I'm going to spend half a day doing social media content. I'm like, no, I'm going to spend half a day writing an article and snipping that up into social media content, because
yeah,
that's the center. So it's just sort of rejigging and prioritizing what the thing that's driving my business right now.
yeah.
So yeah, it is more embedded, and it is more of a habit, and it needs to be a consistent one for the next however many months and years.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And you know, would you, on the back of going through the training program and joining the weekly calls, would you recommend the training program for other small businesses?
Yeah, definitely. I think the expertise has been amazing, and the videos were very thorough and short and easy to follow. And I think what's been really amazing is the support that we've had with that, and turning up every week in group meetings where you've got the accountability. If you're struggling with something, you get a bit more motivation, and you've got people that know what they're doing supporting you through that. And also, you're not having someone else work on your business, you're working on your business, so you understand the nuts and bolts of it, rather than saying, right, can you do this for me, and you've got a short-term fix for 8 weeks or whatever. It gives you a really solid foundation. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that. And I remember one of the weeks early on where you had a lot on, you were busy. I think you were about to go on holiday, and you were like, I can't, you know, what do I do? Do I do all this? And then I was like, you know, Kat, don't worry about all of this, just work on that. And then suddenly you just, I think it was optimizing your content,
Yeah.
maybe some of the press stuff, but yeah, I think that for me is where the weekly calls come in as well, is actually helping people prioritize, bounce ideas with other students. You've been really great, actually. I said this to you before we started this video interview, is actually just coming in on the calls and sharing your views, because you've grown a business over the last 3 or 4 years. You know, you've got it to now, and now you're taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
And you've been I guess a voice of wisdom to the other students, helping them bounce ideas along with us. So that's been awesome to see. And with that in mind, for the people watching this or listening in who are looking to grow their business online, you know, maybe they're thinking about, how do I position myself? How do I demonstrate my expertise and authority, which you've done really well? How would you answer that for them, or give them a few tips to get them started?
Okay, I think I did it a little bit by accident, but I think what was most important to me was going with my gut and going with my own experience and my passion, because that's what I've needed to drive me through all of the toughness of starting a business and building it. There needed to be a core depth of passion, and I think if you've got that and it's something that's meaningful to you and purposeful to you, then you can keep pushing and keep driving. If you want to create a brand that's a life, part of your lifestyle and something that you want to do long term, it might be different if you're creating something for a couple of years and then selling it on, or it might be very different. But I think it's thinking about who I am as a person, what my experiences are, what I'm passionate about, what I love, what I bring to the table, what my qualifications are, and rolling with that. And when I think about one of my friends who started a rug company, she was working in different brands and marketing, and actually when she took it back to her roots, that was what she grew up around rugs. She was from Iran. She, it was her bread and butter, and no one else in the world could compete with her experiences. And I think for me, having that drive, what I do, almost brought authority without me really needing to fake that. So I think going back to what you said earlier, you said something along the lines of, I built up that authority whether I meant to or not on my Google. And actually, I don't think I meant to. I was just authentic to myself and authentic to people I wanted to help. And now I'm like, oh, that works. I'm going to keep sprinkling and growing and making that better.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So thank you for sharing that. And thanks for doing this interview. You're going to get a backlink for this.
Okay. Great.